episode of the Restoration Today podcast is brought to you by One Claim Solution. Did you know it takes about 45 days for most contractors to get paid for an emergency services job, and some report much worse wait times? Either way, that's a long time to get paid, especially with the stresses of keeping up with payroll and overhead costs. One Claim Solution is an insurance billing solution that not only gets their clients paid in 32 days on average, but also improves profitability and handles all communication with adjusters. You deserve to work with a specialist that has well-trained attorneys and staff, proprietary purpose-built technology, and rigorous time-proven processes needed to deliver a best-in-class insurance billing capability. One Claim Solution will handle it all so you can focus on what matters most, running your business. Visit oneclaimsolution.com for more. Hello there. Thanks for checking out this episode of the Restoration Today podcast. One of my favorite things on the show is to share the stories of restorers and their companies and how much they've grown. And I'm very excited to be joined by Shawn Folks, who is the CEO of Guarantee Restoration Services. They serve the Gulf Coast region. They have multiple locations, 5, I believe as of right now. And so I'm excited to have Shawn here today and share kind of the Guarantee story, but also talk about company culture, staying competitive in an M&A space where everything's consolidating. There's just lots that we have on our plate to talk about today. So Shawn, welcome. Thanks for being here. I'm going to toss it over to you and have you start by introducing yourself and sharing the background of Guarantee and how I know that you've worked your way up through the ranks over the years in the business.
Sure. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate the opportunity. So for those of you who don't know, my mom and dad started our company 1974, small carpet cleaning company in a 1-bedroom apartment. And, had the opportunity to start growing. They were part of a franchise called Guarantee Systems, which some people may remember and some people may not. And, ever since I was 5 years old, I remember when a carpet cleaner called in sick or couldn't help out, I was my dad's help. So started cleaning carpets when I was 5.
That's impressive.
Yeah. But that, yeah. And summers, weekends, holidays, would go out and clean carpets. And I hope to do the same with my children. Unfortunately, it's not as common and not as widely as accepted putting your kids to work at 5 years old anymore, but hopefully we'll get them out there one day. And, when I went to college, all through high school, summers and everything like that worked and doing carpet cleaning and water damage. But when I went to college, I wanted to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And as it got towards the end of college and I started seeing a lot of my friends getting real jobs and doing things, and the majority of them that I found, they all hated their job. They didn't like what they were doing. And I kind of realized, I like what I'm doing. So I kept with it. And when I graduated college, we actually joined a franchise called Service Team of Professionals.
Yep.
And I went to school for business management. So everything that I learned in school, I came out of school and had a brand new franchise telling us this is what we're supposed to do. So we just followed all those rules and, kept doing what they told us to do. And it got to the point where, we kind of outgrew them and went back independent. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe about 9 years ago, my parents decided to kind of let me take the reins and step in as CEO. And since then, we've just had some exponential growth with a lot of great opportunities and expanded across the Gulf Coast region. And now we are what we are today and have 5 offices and about 150 employees and, can handle any project from a $500 water loss overflow to a $500 million water loss. So happy to be here and I appreciate the offer, Michelle.
What is it like having a company that's in the middle of where hurricanes hit? I mean, a lot of people travel to that work. You literally have nested yourself right where you can get pummeled at any given moment.
That's right.
So what is that
That's
like?
right.
How do you gear up to make sure that you can handle all that?
Well, so we unfortunately had to learn the hard way. Over the past couple of years, we've been thrown a lot of opportunities to where we had some very large projects come our way. And, as we've figured it out, we've done better, but we utilize a lot of partners that are in the restoration industry across the country that have helped us get projects done that a company our size could never have done. With the resources and the financial backing and support, we kind of come together as a partnership and make it happen. But what I've realized is just the relationships that I've built in the companies that I work with, it's a lot of smaller independent restoration companies. Well, not smaller, decent size, but independent. When they come, the owner comes with it a lot of times. And it's just, it's a little bit different. They I find that they take the project a little bit different than if you know it's somebody besides the owner. I feel a
Yeah.
lot of times the owners take a lot more pride in getting the project done and making sure everything's perfect.
How have you made or formed those partnerships? I know that you're involved in some industry organizations, and I think you might be part of core, different things. So, how have you built those relationships so that you have those companies that you can rely on for help?
Sure. So a lot of people may not know, but I'll tell you the first opportunity that we had. It was with a school district that had 26 schools that flooded,
Okay.
and the biggest job we'd ever done was probably $500,000. And I had called. We worked with a consulting firm, Violan, and we called them. They gave us the name of a company. I called another consulting firm we worked with, Chris Hill. He gave us a name. I called another buddy. They gave us a name. So these three companies that I had never met showed up at the school board door, and we met outside. And I said, "Hey guys, we got to go in here and act like we've done this before." So we went in and gave a great presentation, and the school board gave us keys to 26 schools and said, "Go." But since then, that's kind of what leaped us into the next level. We've just met a lot of different people in doing this, and met a lot of great people that have come in and helped us, and people at different RIA functions and the different vendor program functions, and with Core and being a member of Restoration Affiliates as well. Met a lot of great people out there that are willing to travel and come help out when large things do happen.
So, as one of the larger independents, I'm sure that you've also had to wade your way through the last few years of crazy M&A going on, lots of companies getting bought up. I'm sure that you have had many offers that you have had come across your desk over the last few years. So, how have you waded through that and stayed kind of competitive and stayed in your lane, not gotten distracted by the consolidation or worried about other people getting bought up in your market? How have you waded through that?
Sure. Yeah, we it has been tough. We have had a lot of people, and it's kind of like you go to the dance and you're the prettiest girl at the dance. And or the prettiest guy, whatever you like, but they're unfortunately we are very attractive in the area that we are and the size
Yeah.
that we are.
Yeah.
Um so one of the things that I really enjoyed was the opportunity to grow up in our business.
Mhm.
And I want to give my kids the same opportunity as well. I want them to be able to have the same opportunities and work ethic that I was given. Hopefully, we'll be able to put them to work pretty soon to get that same work ethic that I got. Um, but it's been tough. There's a lot of money out there in private equity. And I see a lot of my friends get bought up. And
Yep.
unfortunately, guys that were independent that are my friends, they call me, and I don't like to meet with the private equity because I have no interest in doing that. But just out of respect for some of my friends that have sold, I do still meet with them. Um, but yeah, it is changing the market a little bit. But one of the things that I feel is a lot of times, all the different private equity and larger companies that are out there, they don't have a Shawn Folks, and not to sound cocky, but to be
Yep.
confident. These people, when we go and meet with people like this evening, we have a big event with a lot of high end people. I'm going, and I will be there, and the people that will do end user business with me will see me there. And if large things happen and things like that, they'll know that I'll be available and they'll have my cell phone number. So that's kind of how we've been able to stay competitive too, as well. Just being able to keep that small town feel
Yeah.
with being able to provide a big project response at the same time.
No, that makes total sense. And it mirrors a lot of companies in our state of the industry report. We asked how it was going for companies who have had maybe a competitor bought, and people are reporting that they have had the same revenue or increased revenue despite a competitor being bought, because the industry is about people, like you said, in relationships and who's going to be there. And I don't know. It's a special niche industry. So, okay. So on this topic, let's talk about your team and your culture, because I know that you've done a lot to build a really healthy, really cool culture, I think, inside Guarantee. So what has that been like over the last few years? I know that you have maybe some purposeful people in place within your team as well that help with that. So that's a big question. I don't even know where you start in describing culture for a big company, but go for it.
Sure. Well, one of the things that, as you guys may have seen our videos on the Facebook or LinkedIn,
Yep.
definitely share, subscribe, or like if you haven't. But one of the things that I found is it starts with me, and it starts with me being real. People seeing that, I do make mistakes. I can be silly. Um, and I do dumb stuff too, and I like to have fun. So that's kind of where I realize is that, I've got to come in every single day and put on my best foot forward and be in a good mood. It's not one of those things, fake it till you make it. It is me, and it's tough sometimes because there is times where people will be like, what's going on? They know something's going on because, they see it. But also too, what I realized about 10 years ago, the company was me, my mom, and my dad. We were all the leaders. And when my mom stepped down and we brought somebody in to run the marketing department and build that department up is when we really started to grow.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized is I can probably do one thing very well, but I can't do three or four. And me, my mom, and my dad were trying to do everything ourselves. And we brought good people in. We were able to grow significantly. So it's taken, we've definitely had to kiss a lot of frogs to find the prince on our executive team, but we've got a great executive team now, which hopefully a lot of you guys out there know and have met. But some of the things that I've done is just kind of let them do their thing. Our director of human resources told me she wanted to be on the board for RRA, and I told her go for it.
Yeah.
And she's making some great headway and strides and building her own thing in the
Yep.
industry too as well. But allowing them to be themselves and grow their own stuff, with a lot of coaching and guidance from me, but allowing them to do their own thing. And that's where I just had a meeting this morning, and I told everybody we're huge on training. We've actually built our own flood house, and it's in the approval process right now.
Nice.
But our branch here in Kenner, where I'm at today, we have about 30 people. And when I asked how many people in here have their WRT certification and FSRT, about 2/3 of the room raised their hand because that's huge.
Yeah.
I want to invest back in my people. One of the greatest quotes I've ever heard is, what if you invest in your people and send them all this training and they leave? But what if you don't and they stay? So investing in my people and their future and helping them to get to where they want to be has been a huge help in our culture too as well. So I think a lot of those things, along with just finding the right people and getting the
Yep.
right people on board, has been a huge success. We do have a great culture. We're very proud of it, and a lot of times we wean out people that aren't a good fit for our culture. If they do make it into our organization, we try to wean them out pretty quick.
Yeah, that can be damaging if you don't. So what do you
Yeah.
think it keeps people at Guarantee once they are there? You don't have to give away all your secret sauce, but what are some of the reasons that people stay once they're in?
Well, you hear the quote a lot of times that people don't quit companies, they quit managers.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of great managers in place. Even though we are 150 people in a large restoration company, I think that everybody feels comfortable and knows everybody. I mean, I know everybody's name and everybody knows my name and has my number. I think that's a huge part of it too, as well, to where, our executive team calls people all the time and they go out on job sites all the time. Um, but just the small family culture. And then also too, I know that it's not about the money, but we do have some pretty awesome benefits and packages that we offer for our people, so that's a huge help. But also just the growth from within, they all see that they can grow within, probably 60 to 70% of the positions that we create. We don't bring somebody in from outside. We always look in to try and bring somebody up from within. And even if they're not at that right point at that point in time, we're going to figure out what they need to get to the next level. And, a lot of our branch managers and different people in positions within our company started with our company somewhere else, and they're much higher level positions now. So I think the internal growth is probably one, the small family culture and, the great people that we have, but also too, the last thing would be the money. I think we have
Yeah.
some great incentive packages for our people.
And that does matter. Do you have any advice for restorers who are having a hard time finding like technician level people? I think that's, one of the big pain points in the industry. Have you found any
Yeah.
secrets to finding talent in that area?
Yes, I have. Not really, no. But
You
I will tell you one thing. I go to organizations and I go to meetings now, and you hear about everybody complaining. They say, it's just so hard to find good people.
should.
And I think back 20 years ago when, I started in the industry, or not started in the industry, but really kind of was in college and everything like that. And you know what my dad used to complain about? It's so hard to find good people. And what people don't realize is it's always hard to find good people. So what we do is we have a fantastic recruiting department that we're always looking and we're always hiring, even when we don't need them. That's one of the things. If we find a good fit, even if we don't need them and we're slow, I'm going to hire them. We're going to hire them and we're going to try and figure out a way to keep all of our people busy so that they can continue to work. But, good people are hard to come by and hard to find. And my motto is if you find one good, grab them, bring them on, figure out a way to fit them in your organization and make it happen.
Yes. Okay, staying on the company culture vein, I know that Guarantee is also heavily involved in your community and does a lot of work with different charities and organizations. So talk about some of the things that Guarantee is involved in, and how do you choose as well where to invest your time and energy, which organizations, all of that. Small businesses get approached all the time, right, to be involved in different things.
Sure.
So how do you decide?
Well, first thing that we did, it was tough because we got, a lot of people that their kids are active and they're active in different things. So one of the really cool things that we just implemented last year is that any employee that works for the company that has something that they want to support for, like, let's say that their kids' basketball team. So it's got to be you or your immediate family. So you, your spouse, and your kids. For as many years you've been with the company will put $100 towards whatever. So if you've been with the company for 5 years and your daughter's volleyball team wants to need sponsors, we'll sponsor it up to $500. Different sponsorships levels. So that's how, because it used to be, I mean, people would come to us and we try and figure out like, okay, how do we pick and choose where it goes? But that's really cool and it's taken off really well where, a lot of our people were able to support their kids and their kids associations and even some of our own people too as well. Some of our own people play softball and
Yes.
on different events and
Yep.
teams. But with the community, initially kind of started, it started with our clients. We found out the things that they liked and they enjoyed, to where, we kind of infiltrated ourselves in that. So we were able to gain more clients. But what we've realized is the different, things in the community that are important to our people is what become important to me and the rest of our company too as well. We do different walks and different charities and things like that.
Yep.
And if it's important to some of our people, we'll make it to where we can definitely try and get on board too and behind it as well.
Okay, and how do you decide what you're involved in the industry? I know that you're involved in RAA and some of your team is as well. Marcy is, for example, and then you have Core and RA and all these. How do you decide where to go and where to be involved in? What do you find the most fruitful? Maybe you don't want to say that, but
I think it's all very fruitful, Michelle.
good answer. Good answer. They're probably all different as well. I mean, none of those three things are the same. So probably different.
Yeah, it is difficult because generally most organizations that we're a part of have two events a year, and then a lot of the different national things with the vendor programs and with RIA, there's one a year. So we generally try to make all of those, and a lot of the events that are with organizations and partnerships once a year. Um, but it's tough. They're all very beneficial. It's all about the relationships that we build because with what we're doing and building is more about partnerships with different companies across the country to where we have teams that can go help them and they can come help us too. But learning from other organizations as well, because, one of the big things I learned a long time ago is, my dad taught me a lot of lessons. Most of them were bad examples of things not to do, but where I learned the most is by going and visiting and talking to somebody else and what they're doing, and then taking it and kind of bringing it back to our organization and making it our own. You know, Although we are from Louisiana, we are very smart down here, but I always like to throw that in and say, we're not very smart down here in Louisiana, but, I can take anything and plagiarize it and make it my own. But, a lot of times what we get in the systems that we have in place, I didn't come up with it. I saw it somewhere, somebody else did it. I took it and kind of made it work for our organization and fit for our organization, which has been a huge success for a lot of the things that we do.
Do you have any technology that you use at Guarantee that you think has been a game changer? I mean, I feel like the insurtech space has kind of exploded the last few years since COVID, especially. Do you have
Yeah.
anything where you're like, that's been a game changer for us?
Well, definitely the Matterport scans or those different things
Yep.
has been huge. It's kind of brought it to where we're able to do a lot of our estimating, internally, and we don't have field estimators out there writing estimates. The new tracking systems that are out there. We just got some equipment tracking, which has kind of been a game changer because,
Yeah.
we looked at all these things for so long. And I mean, you lose 20 to $30,000 worth of equipment a year. And it's just, you're beating your head against the wall. And then we look at it, it's like, well, we spent $30,000 trying to keep up with the $30,000 we lost, you know? But to be honest with you, the technology, that it's great and it helps us get our job done, but it helps us just keep up with the
Yeah.
things that are changing as well.
Yeah.
There hadn't really been anything that's been something to where it's just like, what, this is changing the industry.
Yeah.
Um, there's all kinds of things out there that we get thrown to kind of be a beta model for, or try out and test. But a lot of it helps. But unless you have the people that are willing to support it, it's not going to help.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I don't have anything that's a game changer out there.
That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
Um, so along the training line, you talked about you have the flood house and a lot of your people have their WRT or their ASD or whatever that may be. What other kind of training do you do? And how often are you training your people? Like, do you have anything where it's more soft skills training, life skills? You're talking about those kind of things. Talk about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we do send a lot of people through the Viola MVP course.
Mhm.
A lot of people that are on a fast track to become, managers and higher level.
Yep.
I found that course, which I actually just completed it. We had sent probably 20 to 30 people through it, and I'd never been through it. It's a great introductory level management course for people when we send a lot of people through that. We do monthly internal trainings where a lot of times, depending on what department you're in, we'll train. Like today, we did training on a lot of our large loss sheets that we fill out for different things. And then we do a lot of small internal training. But the soft skills, we've brought people in and we have some things we're working on because that's something that's very difficult to teach, teaching somebody. But um, we're working on an actual plan where it's an advancement track for our people to where they're able to do things to get to the next level. But a lot of it's by reading books and personal coaching, for them. But the soft skills is what we found is the make it or break it.
Yeah.
The soft skills is what makes a company great, not
Yep.
necessarily the technical skills or the knowledge of the industry. It definitely helps, but those soft skills and learning how to talk to people and deal with people is what's huge. So we're still working on that. If you figure that out, you let me know. But we're working on it by people reading different books
Mhm.
and pushing books on them and trying to do some where they have to write book reports and stuff like that. But the soft skills, it's tough, and we haven't figured that out. We do send people to courses, stuff like that. Like we have some women's leadership courses where we send people to. We have other leadership courses that we've sent people to, which actually we have one of our leaders going to next week. It's in Las Vegas called Rapport, and it's phenomenal. It's an awesome leadership course that we do. So
I'm going to make myself a note.
Rapport.
Rapport. All right. Which is one of those words that's not spelled the way that it sounds at all. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So do you have any, I always love asking about memorable jobs. I mean, you talked about the school district with the 26 buildings and you brought other people in. What's another memorable job that that Guarantee has handled in maybe the last 9 years since you've been as CEO?
Oh man, the memorable job. Well, the memorable ones are, we did 26 schools.
Mhm.
Um, and then I never thought we'd do anything bigger than that. And then in 2020 we did 42 schools. And I never thought we'd do anything bigger than that. And then 2021 we did 150 schools. Um, so it's tough to try and pick out another memorable job. Um,
It's cool
but
to stack that and see the growth though. That's cool.
Yeah. Now, what I always tell people is we had Hurricane Laura hit Lake Charles and we had Hurricane Ida hit New Orleans. I said, this grays on this side is Hurricane Laura and the grays on this side is Hurricane Ida. It was definitely not easy, especially after Hurricane Ida. We had my director of operations had passed away a month before. And, a lot of people knew that and it was huge, but we had so many people within our organization step up and we just made it happen. But those are some of the most memorable ones. I mean, we've had some crazy jobs like everybody out there. We did one in an aquaculture system where there were alligators and snakes and all kinds of stuff in this place at LSU at the college where they were doing testing on all these, and they were supposed to have them all out. And you go in, and there's still live animals in there. Um, but there's been a lot of crazy, memorable jobs, but the majority of them are the schools. We always go in, we get we got 150 schools done in 3 weeks. We tried to give them a time frame of 4 weeks or 5 weeks or something like that, and they always come back and try and give us something else. But we made it happen, and made it happen in some pretty amazing time frames to where they could reopen the school. Not just where they're ready for construction; those schools all reopened. So
That's incredible. That's the
yeah,
amount of people in logistics that I'm imagining that took, and equipment. And you must have really good partners, even outside of other restoration companies, like good equipment partners and all that. Cause I'm guessing that guarantee in and of itself doesn't have enough equipment to drive maybe that many schools at once. Maybe you do, but
no,
anyway,
not yet, not
not
yet.
yet. Um, okay, before we wrap it up, I'm also curious about your work-life balance. You are a dad, and restoration does kind of breed burnout as well. Second generation family business. You want to be able to pass it on to your kids. We're talking outside of hurricane season because all bets are off during hurricane season. But how do you find a balance of being with your family and kids' activities and all that, but also being hyper present in the company?
Sure. It's tough. It's tough because the way I was raised, both my parents worked for our company and they did a phenomenal job. But unfortunately, they worked a lot, and
Yeah.
I vowed that I was not going to do that. Now I still work a lot, but I make it to everything that I can. I leave my office between 5 and 5:30 every day, and go home and help my wife. I mean, I got 3 kids that are in every single sport, and two or three at a time. So me and my wife, we're running all the time, but make it to their sporting events, all their dance recitals, all the different things that they do. But unfortunately, one of the greatest quotes, another great quote that I heard was, "You got to give up to go up." What I give up is my personal time.
Yeah.
I don't have much time where I do anything. People always talk about these shows that they're watching and stuff like that. But when I'm done, when our kids are done and they're in bed at 9 o'clock, I'm on the computer till usually 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Now on the weekends, I do try and get everything done so I can spend time on the weekends, mostly just because my kids have about 10 sporting events each all weekend long that we're dealing with.
Yes.
But um, the work-life balance is tough. And one of the things that I promote on my people too is I expect them to be at all that stuff. But if they don't get it finished, they've got to work late. They've got to pick up where they left off, and they've got to get their stuff done. But I do expect them to do those other things as well. Um, you know, it's um, it's a tough balance.
It
You
is.
know, we try and push our people to be the most that they can, but you don't want to push them too far to the breaking point. There's been a few times when I've gotten to that breaking point, unfortunately. Like right now, we have some new people, some higher level people that we're training up, and I'm doing a remodel in my house. And
Ooh.
since I've been doing the remodel, it's flooded 3 times because the roof wasn't right. So it's been awesome. It's been awesome. But a lot of those times when we get to that breaking point, that's when, what I do is we try and do something for ourselves,
Yeah.
and usually it's me and my wife, we go do something fun, or we go, look forward to something or make something happen. Um, but yeah, the work-life balance is more of a work-life balance to where I work, I spend time with my family, and that's all I do. I don't really have a whole lot of extracurricular activities
Oh,
besides soccer. I still play soccer.
okay.
Yeah. I'm getting old, but I'm not that old where I can't still play.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Anything else you want to add? Good luck with the remodel. Remodels are no fun, and flooding 3 times, I might be killing
Yeah,
somebody at that point. So,
that's right.
and I bet your poor wife is probably like, you better
Yeah.
deal with some of this. But anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
she's not
And
happy.
I'm sure not. Okay. Anything else that you want to add that we haven't talked about?
No, no, just some of the things that I feel have made us successful is to be humble. One of the things that I've realized is I know a lot, and we've made a great organization.
Yeah.
But there's still a whole lot more that I need to know. And we definitely can always be better. Some of the things that we realize out there is that we make mistakes too.
Mhm.
I definitely, whenever we're on things and I try and promote it to all of our people, and you see it in the industry a lot, is, don't ever talk about another company. Those companies that are out there, they're just like us. There's not a lot of bad people out there in our industry. Most of the people are out there, they're trying to do the best they can. Just sometimes things happen. We have projects that get screwed up too, and things don't go well, you know, but it wasn't ever by design. It's always something that can be fixed, and it's always something that's probably going on that you don't know about. But make sure that I push my people, make sure that you never talk bad about anybody else. So
Yeah.
um, And one of the big things that I tell people, you brought up about the hurricanes earlier, is we like to look at ourselves down here in Louisiana restoration as doctors. The doctors aren't happy when the flu season comes along, but the doctors are happy to help out their friends, their families, and the community get back to normal. And we look at it the same way.
I love it. Well, Shawn, thank you very much. And for those who are listening, do be sure to check out their Facebook pages or YouTube or wherever, because there are some great videos that might give you a few ideas of what you can do in your organization. Shawn does like to have fun. There are some funny ones out there as well. So, Shawn, thank you very much for your time. I look forward to seeing you at some shows in the near future, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelle. And hey, don't forget, 24/7 is not just a number, it's a guarantee.
Oh.
For more Restoration Today and the latest news, visit our website, cnrmagazine.com, and find the latest episodes of the Restoration Today podcast on your favorite podcasting platform.